where are the Europeans? They're totally exhausted, frankly. They're fatigued, they're weak, they're vulnerable. I think, as the top risk report makes clear, they're being besieged, both from without, as Ian has talked about, from Russia and Ukraine, from their historical ally, the United States, from China regarding their competitiveness and the erosion of their industrial base, but also from within, given the massive populist challenge that exists in the three largest economies, where the far right is in the ascendancy in Germany and France and indeed the UK. So that's the context. I think the operational goal for the year is support Ukraine, and I suspect in the narrow sense they will continue to do it. The question I'm asking is at what cost? Because credible support for Ukraine does depend on a constructive relationship with America, right? The Europeans are buying US weapons and kit to keep Ukraine in the fight. The Americans are key when it comes to intelligence and strategic enablers. The Europeans are fully dependent on the US through NATO to deter Russian aggression and only have a pathway to look after their own security over the next 5 years. Some of them don't even have that pathway to get to that 3.5-5% renewed NATO goal. And so this has to work with a constructive America, and that's where I'm worried, because that relationship is no longer constructive. If you think back to last year, the Americans realized the extent to which the Euros were dependent on them in Ukraine, and they extracted a 15% tariff for the price of continuing their support in the Ukraine theatre and with respect to NATO. We may continue to see threats of that kind manifest this year, most acutely, I think, in Greenland. You know, if the Americans were to do something, annexing the territory of an ally, what could the Europeans conceivably do, given the vulnerabilities that exist, not only in Ukraine, but also with respect to NATO and elsewhere? So that's the context. That's what concerns me. It's not a pretty picture when you think about the outlook for the rest of the year.